I need one of the pieces your father collected.
I learned to hate you in the last 10 years.
Like Indiana Jones, Marion Ravenwood has a theme named for her that follows her as she follows him. Except that doesn't sound like the tough, hard-drinking character she is.
Let's start it!
It sounds too soft and romantic. Because it needs to. The score doesn't need another hero's theme. It needs to be the opposite of Indy's theme. And despite being named Marion's theme, it's more of a love theme. Or is it? It's one of John Williams' more contradictory leitmotifs, with more behind it than you'd think. What makes it a love theme? Two things: the composition itself, the technical side, and its use in the story. It's sometimes confused with Leia's theme, or for a better example, Han Solo and the Princess from Empire Strikes Back, because they're both love themes by John Williams with Harrison Ford and George Lucas from the early 1980s, and they both start the same. And no, none of these themes are the same.
Trust me.
Many who've studied John Williams' work have pointed out all three start with a major sixth, and that this interval is a big, bold leap from one note to another right at the start, which is how John Williams characterizes two bold, defiant women.
What the hell are you doing?
Somebody has to save our skins.
Han Solo and the Princess acts as a natural evolution of Leia's theme. In his book, John Williams Film Music, Dr. Emilio Audicino points out the major sixth also gives it that romantic feeling, and the triplet notes and stretching of the melody give it a longing effect. But for Han Solo, it's a romance that's just starting. It has room to grow, if not for the dangers of the war they're in.
I love you.
I know.
And for Raiders, it's already happened, and already fallen apart.
I was a child. I was in love. It was wrong and you knew it.
Something you can hear in the theme. Marion's theme is a love letter to old love themes. Raiders was inspired by 1930s adventure serials and made in their styles, so Williams was inspired by romantic love themes of the 30s and 40s, naming Now Voyager as a particular inspiration. And even though there's no choir, he wanted the melody to sing, as though it had lyrics. Williams' compositional style, as emphasized in Audicino's book, is neoclassical, more old-fashioned than what other composers were doing at the time, which suits a movie that's supposed to be old-fashioned. And typical of those old-fashioned scores, Williams emphasizes Marion's theme in both the flutes and violins, the more feminine instruments, which give her a softer edge than she allows to show, and contrast well with Indy's theme, usually in the trumpets. Comparing it to Indy's theme, which is pretty straightforwardly heroic, Marion's theme has a more complex harmony, as pointed out by Audicino, which makes it more interesting in its own way. Another old-fashioned technique Williams uses, it's a leitmotif, but surprisingly, not for her. It starts at the first mention of her, and while he's not afraid of Nazis or the Ark of the Covenant, he hesitates when he thinks of her.
So she'll still be with him?
Possibly. Marion's the least of your worries right now, believe me.
It follows her like a leitmotif, but Marion's theme is more a theme for her relationship with Indy. And Audicino points out it doesn't appear in a single scene where it wouldn't revolve around her relationship. Because again, that's what it needs to balance things out, to add contrast, and to be an homage to the old love themes. Indy's theme is heroic, confident, and inspiring. And in my last video, I explained how it's used ironically, sounding heroic as he bravely runs away, bringing out the humor of the situation. While Marion's theme is always used sincerely, Williams even says he chose to write a love theme to go against the humor and the silliness, and it brings out the complicated feelings on both sides. The romance, but the sadness, maybe some unspoken guilt. and their relationship is complicated.
What you did to me in my life.
I can only say I'm sorry so many times.
Well, say it again anyway.
Sometimes hard to read. But because John Williams is an excellent composer, he's sensitive to the story and characters, and he uses the music to bring out whatever the truth is, even if the characters hide it, and to hint what the two won't say, that they're falling for each other again. The repair to their bond is only slow, until Marion's hiding place from the Nazis is discovered. Indy loses her in the commotion, and in trying to save her, he accidentally causes her apparent death, where suddenly the theme reveals his feelings for her. And it exposes his grief and his guilt. He knows it was his fault.
I ought to kill you right now.
It was not I who brought the girl into this business.
That guilt lingers over the next few scenes, and without another reprise, there's a change in his attitude. Until he finds her alive, and we hear their relief. Every time it appears, it shows how they feel, even if it goes against how they act. It also highlights Marion's change in behavior. At the start, she doesn't care for him very much. And over the course of their adventure, she sees when to drop the hostility and helps him when he needs it. John Williams cues Marion's theme, and this leads to the love scene. But is it really love? It is, but it's not a simple happily ever after you might expect. I'm sure some of it's just that their relationship fell apart before, but while John Williams felt there was a real spark between the two, he knew there would be more indie movies, and didn't know if this love story would be that conclusive.
And I didn't know where this love story was going to go, if anywhere.
It seems he didn't want to be premature about their relationship, and I'm guessing he didn't want the love theme to be that conclusive either. So while it sounds romantic, harkens back to their past, and reveals those feelings between the two, it seems like it has a bit of doubt and hesitation. Starting from the first note and up through the triplets, it's only climbing up. Then it abruptly drops to this flat note almost an octave below before reaching up again, giving it that slightly wounded, tragic feel. It's a love theme that carries a lot of baggage. It reflects more on their past failed relationship than it projects to a new one. Brad Fry starts his analysis of the boat scene by citing John Williams' uncertainty. That Marion's theme is always wandering, searching, like it doesn't have stability. The boat scene is the only love scene in the movie where the theme is loudest and most intense. It builds and builds, from a tentative flute solo to most of the orchestra. When they kiss, the flutes, piano, and cellos play this wandering triplet figure. The melody intensifies, and the music has nowhere to go, because the scene is cut short. Indy's had a very long, rough day. And the love theme is punctuated with what Audacino compares to a music box winding down. Indy's theme has its big moments it builds up to, and this is as far as it goes for Marion's theme.
We never seem to get a break, do we?
Even if you listen to the full concert version in Raiders March, it repeats the basic motif, building higher, and then it keeps wandering, repeating variations on the same thing, with no B section to lead into, like Indy's theme. Obviously, they do get together in the end, and a final note from Audacino, it plays in violins and cellos, treble and bass, like the lyrical choir again, female and male. But it's not over yet. The back and forth of their relationship lasts a lot longer.
You don't know what they've got there.
Well, I know what I've got here. You have your father's eyes.
And my mother's ears.
The rest belongs to you.
Why, you looking for a date?
With anybody but you.
Without knowing it at the time, Williams really captured the nature of their relationship long after the credits rolled. Marion's theme shows how composers sometimes focus on conveying ideas instead of characters, which is what John Williams and John Powell did for E.T. and How to Train Your Dragon, as shown in this video. Thanks for watching.